It's Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com. Welcome to the PlayOnSports.com pregame show live from Thomas P. Ryan Field on the campus of Mount Pleasant High School in San Jose. I'm Kirsten Fairchild alongside Fred Landis on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Tonight's matchup features the visiting Westmont Warriors against the host team, the Mount Pleasant High School Cardinals. Westmont comes into tonight's game with an overall record of 3-5. Mount Pleasant is 1-7. This is Blossom Valley Athletic League play. Santa Teresa Division. Fred, Westmont is in a three-way tie for fourth place with both Live Oak and Lee at a 2-3 record. Mount Pleasant is last at 0-5, yet still both teams suited up. There's been some injuries for Mount Pleasant that has kind of decimated their team, but if I know anything about Frank Lopez Jr.'s squad, it's always ready for a tough fight.
Yeah, he'll certainly have his players ready. Each team had some bad breaks, not getting off to the starts that they've wanted to this year. Coach Burren, chatting with him, hearing about a lot of the games they've had some turnover issues, beating themselves. They now feel they're getting a little more physical, have been improving, getting into mid-season form here, ready to finish strong.
Mount Pleasant lost 23 players to injuries this year. They will be playing 4 sophomores and 1 freshman on offense. And that is just such a difficult task when you don't have a lot of senior leadership on the field.
Yeah, this is where your underclassmen grow up. The good news for Coach Lopez, he's grooming his leadership on the field as they play. And often those players go underestimated by the opposition too. You just never can tell in high school football, in an emotional game as it is, what could happen. And we've seen it this year, haven't we?
We have seen Westmont on Play On Sports. In fact, they were beaten quite handily in our season opener, fell at the hands to Willow Glen. But Westmont has come through with some decisive wins along the way and have just gotten better as the season has gone along. The captains are meeting at center for the coin toss. Mount Pleasant will be dressed in their all-black home uniforms with red piping and red helmets, white numbers. And conversely, the flip side, Westmont in white jerseys, black pants, red trim, black helmets, black numbers. Our referee tonight handling the coin toss is the veteran Mark Holen. Number of issues with kickers and punters and special teams. Fred will get to that, and kind of this revolving door, at least for the most part, for Mount Pleasant. It's really hard to keep that team chemistry strong.
Yeah, we've seen in many games this year the difference special teams have made in turning around the momentum. Just the little things, missing a point after touchdown. For instance, when your kicker has gone down or field goal kicking is weak on one team, they've got to go for 2. That makes a big difference with the risk-taking and the success rate. In a close game, we know difference between a 2-score game and a 1-score game.
This is the Santa Teresa Division. Blossom Valley Athletic League in Santa Clara County has 3 divisions. The A League, if you will, is Mount Hamilton. Santa Teresa is considered the B, and West Valley the C. And it looks like the coin toss has occurred. Still waiting for the official word. Teams changing sides. So Mount Pleasant will return first. There was no indication who won the toss and whether there was a deferred call. But Mount Pleasant will go to work. Fred, they run the wing T offense, and they have a sophomore quarterback. This is only his second year of contact football. He is the 4th starting quarterback for the Cardinals this season. It's number 7, Osmore Veronica. Now, Coach likes what he can do, but he says, sometimes you can see he's scared out there. He's intimidated. He's inexperienced. Last week against Branham, 4 interceptions, 1 fumble. It was a tough outing for Veronica.
Yeah, turnovers will plague a younger player like that. But you get that wing T rushing game going, it could make a real difference maker.
That's going to do it for tonight's PlayOnSports.com pregame show. We'll be back with the opening kickoff in just a few minutes. It's the Warriors and Cardinals up next on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com. Welcome back to Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, coming to you live from Mount Pleasant High School in San Jose, California. The visiting Westmont Warriors from nearby Campbell come to town to take on the Mount Pleasant Cardinals. Alongside Fred Landis, I'm Kirsten Fairchild. So glad to have you with us. Fred, we're going to see Mount Pleasant return the kickoff. Again, that wing T offense, it seems like so prevalent in high school football. And with that rotating cast of characters, we spoke a little bit about it. It makes that cohesion a little more difficult, a little more challenging.
It does. If you have the timing down in a lot of these type of offenses like the wing T, it can be very effective. If you don't, it does result in turnovers like you mentioned at Mount Pleasant had some difficulties with. And a young team, a young quarterback, will have some difficulties. It requires a lot of repetition. But when effective, it can confuse a defense greatly because you can come at it from all directions, each side of the field. A lot of players in motion. It makes it easy to run a reverse. There's just so much flexibility.
The Warriors kick it off. Nick Meyer back deep is Josh Messina and Chris Elio. Elio takes it at the 7, brings it out on the near side to the 20, out of bounds at the 30. So Mount Pleasant goes to work. The big guys up front on the line, left tackle is David Sartor. He has played every position on the offensive line this year. Left guard is Adam Pagan, the senior. R.J. Jimenez is the center. Right guard is Miguel Valencia, a sophomore. Brandon Lovett, the senior, the right tackle. The tight end is Warren Brewster. Dantori Reeves, one of the wideouts, as well as Chris Elio. Josh Messina, the running back, he is suffering a knee injury, but he will start tonight. Elvis Morfin is the fullback, and Osmar Veronica, the sophomore. 1st and 10 for Mount Pleasant from their own 30. Messina in motion, inside handoff. And Morfin with a pickup of about 4 on the opening play. Westmont goes to work with this 5-2 defense.
So very important. If you're Mount Pleasant, that dive pattern on 1st down really sets the stage to run that wing T. You now set the defense up to have to respect the middle, and you get side-to-side yardage, lateral yardage more easily.
5-yard gain for Morfin. 2nd and 5. And another dive play once again, and it's Morfin with the 1st down. So big gaps. Big guys up front doing their jobs blocking as Mount Pleasant, 2 plays, a 1st down. Ball spotted at the 43. Again, Osmar Veronica, and only his 2nd start. A very tough outing last week against Branham, but he will only get better as he goes along, the sophomore. Dantori Reeves, perhaps the best athlete on this team, lines up on the near side, but once again, it's that inside handoff. This time, Westmont doing a little better job defensively, maybe a pickup of 2.
No, it's run it until they stop it, Kirsten, is kind of the motto in a running offense. Mount Pleasant averages 160 yards a game on the ground. They average less than 100 passing it, so we're going to see a run-heavy game from this wing T this evening.
Kyle Birch and Jacob Good are the defensive ends for Westmont. The tackles, Garrett Runyon, Nick Meyer, and Sebastian Ariano is the nose tackle. Those are the guys up front for Westmont. 2nd and 8 from the 35. And Veronica with the handoff. And Messina with his 1st carry. And he'll bring up 3rd and short for the Cardinals.
Yeah, Messina leads the team in rushing. 88 yards a game, and we saw there how that inside, those dive patterns set up that inside handoff, which with the other tailback going in the other direction can confuse a defense quite easily.
Ball spotted at midfield. 3rd and 3 for Mount Pleasant. And again, it is Morfin, and again, Morfin plunges ahead for another 1st down.
Yeah, right off center that time. Big center R.J. Jimenez was doing the job. And looks like the right guard as well, Miguel Valencia, paving the way. Morfin's having a big game here so far. At the fullback, he's a small fullback, only 150 pounds.
Yeah, I like his running style from what we've seen early. 1st and 10 from the Westmont 44 as Veronica rolls out. Pressure coming, gets it away, caught by Morfin, who just gets hammered. Andre Simpson with the tackle, and Morfin slow getting up.
Yeah, I don't blame Morfin for slow to get up there. Simpson just hammered him on that over the middle. That time, the quarterback was trying to get outside of the pocket. And the contain man on the left end, contain man did a nice job of keeping him in the pocket. So he had to get rid of that ball or get sacked. Fortunately, Morfin was open, caught the nice pass.
Jonathan Vasquez replaces Morfin out on the field. 2nd and 5. Mount Pleasant 0-5 in league play. Fred, I'm a little surprised at how masterful they've been able to march upfield here on the opening possession. This is the homecoming game for Mount Pleasant, so obviously as Chris Elio with the hand up, trying to turn the corner, cuts back, and maybe a loss, and now it looks like another player holding his knee, slow getting up. But as I was saying, a homecoming game. It's been a really rough season for Mount Pleasant, just 2 weeks of the regular season left. They've come out fighting tonight.
Yeah, they sure have. I mean, this is a tribute to, you know, Coach Lopez getting them ready one game at a time, and you still can turn around a season. Finish strong. He has young players. They finish strong. They built a lot of momentum uh, into next year, and we can see the got some good lateral pursuit on that 5-2 defense here for Westmont thus far.
Loss of 1 on the play, 3rd and 6. Flag thrown, Veronica with the short pass, and it's caught up the far sideline. Now first down yardage, but we're going to see what this penalty is as I think Vasquez with the catch. And our official crew with the first penalty of the night, the referee Mark Holland. Illegal substitution against Mount Pleasant.
Those are the mistakes they can ill afford, Kirsten. Penalties, as we know, can kill a drive. And for a team looking to get some momentum, you know, they only been averaging 12 points a game. A 5-yard penalty is significant.
Absolutely, makes it 3rd and 11 for Mount Pleasant. 7:53 left to go. 0-0 the score here at Thomas P. Ryan Field on the campus of Mount Pleasant High School in San Jose. Kirsten Fairchilds, Fred Landis, you're watching PlayOnSports.com. Thank you for joining us on a Friday evening. 3rd and 11 for the Cardinals. Veronica rolling out to his right and throws well off the target, and that will bring out the punt team on 4th and long. Now Messina, Fred, has been the punter, but he is also suffering from a knee injury. If he can't punt, we will see Ethan Tang, a first-year player. And it looks like Tang indeed is in. So Messina obviously going to be used when he can. Tang gets off a nice punt, and the return man for Westmont takes it at the 12. Still on his feet, and Dugan, as penalty markers come in, and Dugan is dropped at the 15.
Yeah, not a lot of room to run on that return. A nice high punt allowed the punt team to get coverage and not allow Dugan some room. Sometimes you're a little over-aggressive in those situations and you get blocks in the back. We'll see what turns out to be the penalty here.
There's a referee conferring with his crew. Mark Holland is the referee. The umpire tonight, Lee Campbell. Head linesman is Shane Whitting. Line judge Bill Kelly, and the back judge is Montage Criddle. And this goes against Westmont. And it is an illegal block. It'll be 1st and 10 from Westmont's 8.
Yeah, see what happens. You get a return team make some great coverage. The blockers can only afford to block them in the back because they get down the field so quickly on a high punt.
Westmont in the pro set offense. Trevor Flint, the quarterback, gets the pass away, and the receiver catches the ball but slides. That is Keanu Phillips. So perhaps 4 on the play.
Yeah, he's going to try to get out of this hole a little bit, run looks like a quick hurry-up offense, get out of the hole some, and run some balance on offense like Coach Byrne likes to do.
2 receivers up top for Flint. 1 in the backfield. Flint with a quick screen pass, caught, trying to turn the corner. Lee with maybe 3, maybe 1 on the play.
Good lateral pursuit there of the Mount Pleasant Cardinals, really sensing this lateral passing game and gotten a beat on some of these passes thus far.
3rd and 5 for the Westmont Warriors. Flint rolling out to his right. He has a receiver down the near sideline, comes back and through his hands. So it brings up 4th and 5 for Westmont.
Yeah, that was pass out to the wide receiver, Zach Pimu, and not a badly thrown pass, a little high. Maybe Pimu came underneath it a little bit too quickly. But you're seeing the nice rollout play action capability of the quarterback Flint here for Westmont here tonight.
Sean Marsland has been an outstanding punter for Westmont all season. He went out with an ankle injury 2 weeks ago. This is the junior Nick Meyer handling the punt duties. Meyer gets off a respectable punt considering, and Reeves gets dropped after 2. We've seen some great kick coverage.
Yeah, it's amazing what a nice high punt, good long punt will do to help your kick coverage. Sometimes your punter can out-kick the coverage. It hasn't been the case here tonight, but they've certainly circled the wagons.
Yeah, I've seen that quite a bit this
yes.
season. The punting, for the most part, has been outstanding all season long. 6:07 left to go in the first quarter. 0-0 the score. Mount Pleasant, which earned 2 first downs in its opening possession, goes back to work, this time in Westmont territory. And out of the wing T offense, Messina, the run is stuffed, no gain on the play.
They ran out of the I formation that time, which is not uncommon in the wing T, but more typically it's lateral motion type of handoffs you see. This time they're trying to still exploit the middle of that line, which they made some progress on the first set of downs, Kirsten.
Actually gain of 1 on the play. 2nd and 9. And coming around is Elio. Elio trying to turn the corner. He's at the 40 and tripped up, and we'll have to see where the ball is spotted, but Elio with a nice little burst.
Yeah, that time a nice block from Miguel Valencia, number 63, the 6 foot, 200-pound sophomore, rolled out and fronted it for Elios to get that nice carry and paved the way for him to turn that corner.
8-yard gain for Elio. 3rd and short for Mount Pleasant. Less than 5 to go. 2nd drive of the ball game for the Cardinals. And it is Morphin with another first down. 3 first downs earned by Mount Pleasant, all on the feet of Morphin.
Yeah, they've been running the ball real nicely. That fullback dive pattern still has they've got the timing down, still has the defensive front on that 5-2 for Westmont a bit befuddled as Cardinals getting off the ball quick.
First and 10 from the Westmont 33. Messina. And Messina, the book is out on Messina. I mean, he and Reeves for sure the most athletic players on this Mount Pleasant team, and Messina, his head coach told me he really is the heart and soul of the squad.
Yeah, he's got good outside speed. That time 38, Garrett Runyon, who's defensive lineman, goes 230, showing great speed and really blowing up the play, getting into the backfield and holding that to a loss.
Yes, 2nd and 12, right. 2-yard loss for Messina. Messina, the man in motion, but I believe it's Morphin once again with that inside handoff. You know, there's been so many challenges for Mount Pleasant this season, personnel changes. However, if they can get, I kind of like the balance that they have with this wing T office, with Elio Messina being able to cut outside and then Morphin, their quote-unquote big guy, as a fullback. It could work out to be a very nicely balanced offense.
Thus far, they've certainly kept the defense guessing on the running game. And Morphin going inside. He's a rather big 150 pounds tonight here, if you ask the Westmont defense thus far.
Gain of 5 for Morphin. We did see him limp off the field earlier. Nice to see him back. Has a more traditional formation. Veronica rolls out, gets the ball away quickly, and Morphin with another first down.
It was a nice catch, rollout pass, not unlike the pass he caught last time when he got his bell rung in the backfield. This time he had a little more running room, but we can see how effective running will open up the pass, even on a run-heavy team here like the Mount Pleasant Cardinals. They'll opportunistically pass it upfield, Kirsten.
1st and 10 at the 22, and yes, the pass option out of the wing tee definitely necessary. Keep the defense honest. And cutting back inside is Elio. Westmont with some good tackling on that play.
Yeah, Nick Meyer came in and cut him off before he could fully penetrate into the second level of the defense.
Linebackers Sam Sadian and Richie Gutierrez for Westmont. The corners, Michael Nadeau and Ricky Ariano. Strong safety is Zach Lytle, and the free safety is Andre Simpson. We already introduced you to the big guys up front. 2 minutes and counting in the first quarter, 0-0, but Mount Pleasant on the move on 2nd and 8. And Westmont reading that play, it seemed, from the get-go, and Messina having some struggles early. Another tackle for loss.
Yeah, Garrett Runyon once again, the big 230-pound lineman. Rangy, good speed and instincts. Has gotten Messina's number here a couple of times. The two of them exchanging cards here on a few plays. But I think, the big senior getting the best of it so far on defense.
3rd and 8 for Mount Pleasant. Their opening drive stalled in this part of the field as Veronica, and that ball is picked off. And that's going to be a late hit on Morphin. But Westmont making the play is Andre Simpson. That is the 5th interception in 1 game and a quarter for Veronica. That ball just not enough zip on it, and Simpson making the heads-up play, and I think we're going to have an unsportsmanlike.
Yeah, he was, needless to say, disappointed at the outcome of that play, Kirsten. But he was also, it wasn't entirely his fault. He was surely to be sacked. He's not the tallest quarterback in the league. And when he had to get rid of that pass rather quickly, but the safety that time, Simpson, saw it coming.
It was a 15-yard penalty against Mount Pleasant. So first turnover of the game. Veronica with the interception. 1:03 left to go in the first quarter. Westmont goes to work. 1st and 10 from their own 31. Flint is the cornerback. Tommy Lee the halfback. Fullback is Mark Durobetis. This is Lee. Lee with running room and then some, and he is into Mount Pleasant territory, and he was pushing his blocker. Not Tommy Lee. Checking our rosters here. That was the fullback, Mark Durobetis, with a big-time run. He looked like he wanted to climb up and run over his blockers.
He certainly got some momentum running downhill. David Santor, the big lineman, paved the way for him that time.
Westmont into Mount Pleasant territory. 1st and 10 from the Mount Pleasant 45. Durobetis once again with the carry. Westmont's first drive the offense was just anemic, looking for the pass. Now they give it to Durobetis and 2 solid runs.
Yeah, Coach Byrne likes to get physical. He was trying to get out of that hole the first time around on the pass plays. Didn't quite work out for him, but you see that big offensive line getting a push quite easily on the defense.
And Flint turning around to talk to his fullback. His 2 receivers up top. And hands it off. Actually, this is Lee. They're going to whistle Lee down. It's close to the first down marker.
Yeah, that time, nice hesitation. Setting up for the bubble screen, does the delay handoff to Lee, froze that line real quickly. And a quick player like Lee able to get a nice gain on first down and set up.
First quarter, 0-0 the score. Mount Pleasant hosting Westmont. Fred Landis.
So do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game you're enjoying here tonight? Well, tell your school to sign up for the PlayOn Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
Westmont High School established in 1964, 7 league championships. The last came in 2005. They were a CCS runner-up in the medium school division in 2004. Neither of these programs have ever won a CCS title in football.
Well, safe to say, with some young talent on each side, we may not see CCS playoffs this year, but we may see it in the coming years with some really developing underclassmen. You have some rising leadership in front of our eyes, Kirsten.
Absolutely. Westmont, 1st and 10 from the Mount Pleasant 34, going right to left in front of us. Second quarter to get underway. Trevor Flint, the quarterback, sends the man in motion. Flint under center. And the handoff to Lee. Lee breaking off, bouncing off. He's on the far sideline at the 10 and ridden out of bounds. Penalty marker comes in, and Lee, boy, what a burst he has.
A great burst of speed. You saw the quarterback look, watch the defense. He saw 7 in the box. He knew it was a great opportunity to get his scat back on the outside, which is exactly what happened. And it's looking like it's going to be a face mask, Kirsten, on the defense.
Now, that was a 29-yard run for Lee. Still waiting for our referee to give the signal. He's looking toward the Westmont sideline. Waving off the penalty.
Yeah.
So the penalty has been waved off. It is 1st and goal from the 5 for Westmont. I formation. Flint. And good stop by Mount Pleasant. As Lee, I think no gain on the play, maybe 1.
Might have a yard there. He is their leading rusher, averaging 72 yards a game. But you can see when he gets into open field, he's got the speed, and he's just small enough that he sometimes gets lost around those big linemen and can get past them quite easily, setting up some nice open field running space.
Darabertis and Lee side by side in the backfield. 2nd and goal from the 4. And the pitch to Lee. Lee trying to break inside, evades 1 tackle, bounces off another, but then driven back. Mount Pleasant stingy defense coming up with a nice stand here.
Yeah, and Lee bounced off that tackle. Danny Stapleton tried to hit him in the backfield, but we saw Lee's elusiveness. They're actually running about the same size, so you saw kind of a clash of the mighty mites there on the outside. Lee winning the battle, getting close to the goal line.
3rd and goal from the 1, back to the I formation. Lee comes up. And the handoff to Darabertis. Touchdown, Westmont.
That time you saw that interior of the line for Westmont just paved the way. Lee just probably could have walked that one in and dropped his handkerchief on the way and picked it up, given the support he had on the line.
Long snapper is Richie Gutierrez. The holder, Mitchell Sanseer. And Keanu Phillips. They have had PAT struggles, Westmont, this year. But Phillips will give this a try. And it's good. 10:32 left to go in the first half. Westmont 7, Mount Pleasant nothing.
PlayOn Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. Follow us at PlayOn Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
Welcome to Friday Night Football, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. Kirsten Fairchild's Fred Landis, 10:32 left to go in the half after a scoreless first quarter. Westmont comes through with the 1-yard TD run.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Kirsten, I was going to say points off of turnovers, very crucial in a lot of low-scoring games. We saw one right here with the interception.
Well, the penalty for then the tack on the penalty as the return taken at the 8. And you see Messina barely forward, Ilio. And Mount Pleasant goes to work again with pretty decent field position. But yes, that frustration taken out, that unsportsmanlike, also tacking that on for Westmont. But I also think the emergence of Lee and Darabertis into this ball game as legitimate rushing threats also proved troublesome for the Cardinals.
Yeah, that will be the story of the game. Can that defensive front contain that ground game, force Westmont to go to the air as Mount Pleasant sets up now?
1st and 10 from its own 32, Mount Pleasant. Veronica rolling out, going downfield, and that another potentially interceptable ball. Reeves, the intended target, and not really in his vicinity.
No, it looked like maybe the defender slipped on the play, and that allowed it to be what I thought might have been a catchable play by Reeves. Took a little dive for it from this angle. It was tough to tell, but I admire the coach's moxie for throwing deep on first down.
Absolutely, especially after giving up the interception. 2nd and 10. Veronica rolling out again, this time a shorter pass and off the fingertips of Messina. I think he'd like that one back.
Yes, one would say hit him in a bad spot right in the hands there, but this is a run-heavy team. They're used to those formations. The timing of a rollout pass is not something they're typically used to, so repetitiveness hurts you when you're trying to go pass-heavy as a run-heavy team.
Mount Pleasant averaging just over 80 yards a game in passing, close to 160 yards rushing. As Fred mentioned earlier, just averaging just over 12 points a ball game. Messina looking to throw, halfback option, changes his mind. No one was really making a move from a receiving standpoint. I think Messina was dropped at the line of scrimmage. Once again, bringing up 4th and long for Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, he was looking downfield for Warren Brewster, his wide receiver. His hesitation to backfield did not freeze the defensive back whatsoever, so he took it himself that time.
Tang with the punt. It's a high one. And taken at the 32 by Michael Dugan. And Dugan limited to just 8 yards as Westmont with a 7-0 lead. 9 and change left to go in the first half. The Warriors head coach Eric Baran in his 3rd year has to, as we have a penalty that will go against the return team, but he has to be pretty pleased with what he has in those 2 running backs.
Yeah, he does. They like to run the ball. They like to be a physical team. As I said, they probably lost a few games they don't believe they should have due to some turnovers, some drop passes, and he decided to go long on a physical rushing game, and that paying off thus far tonight.
Getting the hankies sorted out.
Interesting to see now, will he just continue what has been working with that running game, as we also have seen Trevor Flint roll out quite nicely to hit his receivers. maybe catching that Mount Pleasant team off balance.
It'll be 1st and 10 for Westmont from its own 30 after the holding penalty. Trevor Flint, the 6'3", 170-pound junior, good height. And first play is a run play. As Lee bounces back up, about a 6-yard gain.
Yeah, that time going off the left guard who paved the way really well for him there. And once he gets past that line of scrimmage against this defense, you get into the secondary, he's difficult to stop.
2nd and 3. Flint looking to throw, and there was a bump there. And you see the Burge clapping away as he gets bumped by the DB of Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Miguel Hernandez looked a little bit disappointed that that happened. But you could see he was not going for the ball. He was just trying to cut the receiver off. And wasn't going for the ball, and that earned him the penalty, Kirsten.
So, yes, pass interference against Mount Pleasant. So penalties starting to hurt, if not already. Mount Pleasant has had some big ones. As Westmont now in Cardinal territory. 1st and 10 from the 47. 2 receivers out right for Flint. And he's got the handoff to Darabertis, the fullback, and Darabertis with a 5-yard run. So as Mount Pleasant did on its opening possession, able to run well, at least 5-yard gains it sees. Now Westmont, these last 2 possessions really showing they've got some speed.
Yeah, there's really not many adjustments you have to make if you can get 5 yards a clip on a run each time.
2nd and 5, twin receivers for Westmont. Flint going home run ball on the far sideline, caught wide open. Rodriguez with the catch.
Yeah, empty backfield. He had man coverage on the outside, the isolation pattern, and he threw the ball only where Rodriguez could catch it, and that was right toward the sideline. Turned him around a bit, but made a nice grab for a nice long gain.
C.J. Rodriguez, the 6', 156-pound senior. His team now 1st and goal from the 7, 8 minutes to go. Westmont playing with a 7-0 lead. Empty backfield once again, going toward the corner, and again going for Rodriguez. Penalty thrown. Westmont going to the air on consecutive plays.
Yeah, a little surprising with the success of the ground game, getting inside the 10. The last time they had an easy push into the end zone. Coach Barron just trying to keep that defense guessing. And
so ineligible receiver downfield. That's interesting at the 7-yard line.
Yeah, it's you would think it's maybe a little bit difficult to do. However, and it's certainly an unusual penalty at that spot on the field.
It's now 1st and goal from the 12 for Westmont. I formation. And the inside handoff. It's dragging. Lee dragging Cardinals.
Yeah, how would you would not expect a 150-pound running back to drag some players, but he's deceivingly strong, built from the ground up. He knows how to pump those legs. That's why he's able to take players with him, even at his size.
Darabertis heads to the sideline as Phillips returns. Empty backfield, twin receivers. 2nd and goal from the 6. Flint across the middle, right into the hands of a Cardinal who bobbled it a bit but brought it in, and Austin Drake with the interception. So Mount Pleasant fans with something to cheer about. 7:18 left to go in the half, and Mount Pleasant will go to work from its own 20.
Yeah, one of the receivers, simply a miscommunication with Flint that time. And frankly, I'm a little befuddled on the call there with your ground game going so well, especially in short yardage situations and with even less room to throw. One would wonder why a pass play at that time was opportunistic.
So intercepted in the end zone by Drake. Mount Pleasant goes back to work, and Morphin back in for another lumbering run, picks up 7.
Yeah, the Cardinals there doing what they do best. That quick opener dive pattern is not something Westmont's been able to stop thus far this evening.
Mount Pleasant's head coach, Frank Lopez Jr., in his 3rd year as the head coach. He actually teaches world history out of the special education department here at Mount Pleasant. And his fullback looks to have gained another first down before the scrum pushes him backward.
Yeah, the Cardinals just content here with 6:40 left in the half. Doing what they do best, run the ball, milk that clock, keep this a low-scoring ball game, which favors them as a run-heavy team. Turnovers thus far are kind of the story of the game, huh, Kirsten?
And penalties, I would say,
Yes,
although
indeed.
not as integral, but certainly a factor, especially for Mount Pleasant. This is Elio. Elio has shown he can turn the corner. He's trying to turn another one here, and he's pushed out of bounds in Westmont territory. The best run of the night for Chris Elio.
Yeah, that's where we saw the advantage of the wing tee. It freezes those linebackers with attempts in each direction, and that time Elio turned the corner and made the finest gain of the night here for the Cardinals.
And they're going to say he stepped out of bounds before he got into Westmont territory. So that is a 15-yard run by Elio. 1st and 10 from its own 48. Veronica looking to throw, throws into traffic. He had a couple of receivers in that area, including Messina and Morphin. You know, this Mount Pleasant is 0-5. They have a brand new sophomore quarterback. I admire and respect Frank Lopez Jr. continuing to give his young quarterback a chance to grow here.
Well, he knows he has to develop them, and these are the opportunities to do that. Unfortunately, some of the pass patterns have not gone so well, and he has thrown into traffic more than once, but this is what builds a player for next year.
2nd and 10. And Morphin, 2 or 3 on the play. Coach Lopez said that, you know, even though his 4th quarterback of the season here is a sophomore, he's very well respected by his teammates, and they want him to do well. They want to have consistency at quarterback, and they've been very patient with their young teammate. 3rd and 7 for Mount Pleasant, now into Westmont territory. Veronica rolling out and dumps it off, but it bounces before it reaches Morphine. I think Veronica might have been so shocked he had such an open receiver on that play, Fred. It's been such tough going as it brings up 4th and long.
It could very well. He was under pursuit by the defensive end. It looks like the defensive end making some plays here tonight. Was on his tail once again, unfortunately, that put him in a punting situation.
5:35 left to go as the officials blow the whistle. Punt team is out, everyone counting, making sure 11 players are on the field on each side. And it's going to go against Mount Pleasant, as one of the players comes off. A lot of black and red out there on that play, Fred.
Yes, well, I guess when in doubt, try 12 and see if it works.
Another good punt. This one taken at the 19. Dugan stuttering and then pursued from behind. Dropped at the 31. 5:10 left to go in the first half. Westmont with the ball and a 7-0 lead.
5:18 remaining in the half, 7-0 for Westmont.
Yeah, Dugan much with an open field running style similar to Tommy Lee. Both short. Dugan, a senior, even smaller at 135. So even a more difficult jitterbug to catch up to in those punt return situations.
Mount Pleasant starting off in the 4-2 defense, but you know, Fred, they use the nickel package because of the spread offense that Westmont runs, and once again whistles blow. It's been a whistling kind of night for our officiating crew, and it looks like there's a timeout on the field. Mount Pleasant takes a timeout. 5 and change to go in the first half. Mount Pleasant trailing at home 7-0.
Do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game you're enjoying here tonight? Well, tell your school to sign up for the PlayOn Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
Alongside Fred Landis, I'm Kirsten Fairchilds. We're at Thomas P. Ryan Field on the campus of Mount Pleasant High School. Mount Pleasant established in 1965. Their opponent tonight, Westmont Warriors, located in Campbell. That school established a year earlier in 1964. So some rich history for these two programs, some outstanding athletes to come out of Mount Pleasant. Earlier in the year, they recognized all their Olympians that they had in a very nice ceremony as Westmont goes to work on the feet of Tommy Lee.
Yeah, that ground game again paying dividends.
And straight up the middle.
Yeah, they've got big number 62, Trevor Patton, 6'5", 290, is going to be a tough person to stop when you're doing just straight ahead run blocking. The defense is going to have to stunt more to stop this running game.
Flint hesitating, and then the handoff. Into territory is Dara Burtis, and Dara Burtis run down from behind as Mount Pleasant gives pursuit, but another big run broken off by one of the playmakers for Westmont.
Dara Burtis and Lee, great open field runners. They make a good burst of speed once they get past that line of scrimmage. Almost running vertically there, not having to do any lateral pursuit whatsoever.
1st and 10 for Westmont from the Mount Pleasant 29. This is Lee. And Lee with another healthy gain.
I think in this point in the half, Coach Byrne does not want to leave this field without that second score, and he does what he does best, and that is run that ball, be physical at the line of scrimmage, challenge his offensive lineman to control it.
On 2nd and 4. Lee once again, this time off the right side, trying to break outside, still on his feet, into the end zone. There's a flag back at the line of scrimmage, and it's holding against the Warriors. Nullify the touchdown.
There's a marvelous run by Lee around the side. He went right around the defensive back, Darian Alvarez, that time, who seemed in great position to make the play, but you see the elusiveness that is very underestimated by the defenders. Certainly that had happened that time with Alvarez. Unfortunately, it's brought back with a penalty.
Westmont heading the other way. That had been 2nd and 4. As the ball now spotted at the 39. And whistles blow once again. And out comes Coach Lopez. I believe Mount Pleasant's going to want a timeout here.
So PlayOn Sports is not only your destination for Friday night football action, but it's also the place for the most comprehensive coverage of high school playoff and championship events in all sports from across the country. PlayOnSports.com. High school sports lives here.
Cardinals take a timeout, 3:45 left to go in the first half. Westmont with the ball, 2nd and 20 for the Warriors when we come out of the timeout, but playing with a 7-0 lead.
Yeah, it's
Go
been
ahead.
all Westmont this quarter with their ground game, not really needing to throw the ball. They've tried a few empty backfield formations, Kirsten. However, unfortunately, the one resulting in the turnover, the interception in the end zone by Austin Drake. I think Coach Byrne here just quite happy to get his troops together, keep them focused on playing physical and running the ball to get the score here before the half.
Mount Pleasant with just one win on the season. That came back in week 2, 47-25, a win over Yerba Buena. Also a tough loss to Evergreen Valley in the Victory Bell game, 6-0 the final score. Right now, Cardinals on defense as Westmont fighting uphill, 2nd and 20. Flint dropping back, going off the far sideline, wide open, caught once again, touchdown Warriors.
C.J. Rodriguez once again, Kirsten.
That's
It
right.
looks like he
This
stepped
was
out of
gonna be
bounds.
yes, that he was signaled out of bounds. I thought he had already left his defender behind at that moment, but couldn't walk the tightrope. So Westmont will have 1st and goal instead.
So leave it to the coach to show up the analyst once again after I get finished talking about the importance of the ground game. Flint there seeing man coverage on the outside with a nice pass to Rodriguez.
Rodriguez has had the sure hands tonight in Westmont's limited passing game. 1st and goal from the 5 for Westmont. They go back to the ground game. And carried over into the end zone, Darabertis with the 5-yard TD score.
Yeah, that time you saw, other than Darabertis, he was the only man in the backfield lining a lot of guys up. 3 wide receivers spreading that defense made it even easier for that big line to free Darabertis for the TD.
Very fancy point after attempt formation by Westmont. I like a little flash, a little razzmatazz. This is for 14-0. Phillips sends it through, 3:33 left to go in the first half. Westmont on top, 14-0.
Do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game you're enjoying here tonight? Well, tell your school to sign up for the PlayOn Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
Thank you very much, Fred. Westmont, well, what a season they've been having. They had the tough start in their season opener, the loss to Willow Glen, but Westmont coming through in some of their Santa Teresa Division games. They've kind of been streaky at best. They're looking to make it 3 in a row with a win here tonight, going into the final week of the regular season.
Yeah, Coach Byrne hoping for this second half comeback by his team.
Reeves with his first opportunity for a return, and Reeves from the 9 still on his feet, and a healthy return by Reeves. And Reeves, such an interesting young man. Over this last year, he was a finalist for the Adobe Youth Voices Aspire Award finalist. Fred, you would appreciate this. This young man is actually a documentary filmmaker and an animator, and his stuff can be seen online. He made a documentary about Martha's Soup Kitchen where he and some fellow classmates went and volunteered at a soup kitchen, and he's also an outstanding basketball player as he lines up here at the receiver position on the near side. And we just saw his first opportunity for a return as Mount Pleasant, the first round pickup of 3.
Very impressive young man. We've got to remember these are student athletes that, as we heard Coach Byrne talk earlier, many of them will do a lot of great things not on the football field after their years playing.
2nd and 7. Reeves has been thrown to once, but not a clear look. As Veronica goes to him right now, and that gets through Reeves' hands. They're going to say this is a live ball as Reeves runs down. They're going to say that the ball was not thrown forward, so Reeves unfortunately looked like maybe he took his eye off it, and Westmont will benefit. 2:40 left to go.
Yeah, you see Veronica seeing man coverage on the outside, big Reeves on a much smaller defender, and Reeves sensing that after he allegedly caught the ball, but was looking to go upfield before he had a full grasp in his hands, and unfortunately resulting in a fumble on the play.
1st and 10 for Westmont from the 15. Offense back on the field. Lee and Dara Burtis, the dynamic duo in the backfield for the Warriors. They've been tough to stop tonight. Flint goes to the air, far corner, caught, touchdown. Yep, we'll say his name once again, C.J. Rodriguez with the good hands.
Yeah, very nicely thrown jump ball. Sensing, just wondering, does Rodriguez go in the huddle and say, let's try it again, Trevor? Very difficult to defend when that ball is placed between the defender and the out-of-bounds line with that time Rodriguez in play. Tough for the defender to do anything about it.
The 6-foot-tall Rodriguez went up for it. Phillips on for the extra point. It's 3 for 3 tonight. 2:35 left to go. 21-0 Westmont. That one really had to hurt Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, I think just as they began to get a little more momentum here on offense with a nice return by Reeves, he gets a little bit anxious seeing some daylight to run around a smaller defender. As you said, took his eye off the ball a bit, and unfortunately, being a backward pass, it was a fumble. And turnovers have hurt Mount Pleasant this year, in addition to those injuries you mentioned earlier. And just another symptom of it right there.
Some programs face challenging seasons like this, difficult to keep morale up. Mount Pleasant will get the ball back, however, with 2 and change here in the first half, trailing 21-0. And he kicks it toward the up and out of bounds.
Yeah, that time kind of a shrewd move by Coach Burren, not wanting to get it in the return hands of someone like Reeves again, who had a nice return the first time, and maybe keeping the field position, well, how shall we say, just at a minimum for the Mount Pleasant Cardinals.
Mount Pleasant looking for a positive to take in the locker room here. After kicking it out of bounds. Mount Pleasant elects, there always is a choice. Most teams elect to take the ball at the 35, which they've done. Veronica, trouble coming, and the sack, the first of the night, delivered by Westmont.
Yeah, big Nick Meyer there just shot the gap for the Westmont Warriors, sensing a long pass here with just 2 minutes left in the half by the Cardinals to get back in this ball game before the intermission.
Westmont calls a timeout. 2:26 left to go. It'll be 2nd and 15 for Mount Pleasant, trailing 21-0.
PlayOn Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. Follow us at PlayOn Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all of the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
It's November. Really looking forward to a great championship season. PlayOnSports.com will be at many a championship. And Fred, here we are at a Santa Teresa Division Blossom Valley Athletic League game. It's homecoming here tonight.
I saw a sign coming up the stands with placards announcing or asking for votes.
Asking for votes, campaigning everywhere.
That's right.
Elio, which was a bright spot back in the first quarter. Mount Pleasant has been on its heels tonight. That brings up 3rd and 10 after the 5-yard gain by Elio. Elio, Morphin, we saw some good things in the first quarter, Fred, and it just seems like Westmont has dominated the time of possession here in the second quarter.
Yes, they have, and they need to put together a nice drive here. Open up, use some run, some of those dive patterns to maybe open up some passing players to like Reeves.
Veronica. And then you see the receiver secures the catch, which was a bright spot indeed, but Warren Brewster falls down. One of those turf gophers.
Yeah, he saw daylight there. I like the call by Coach Lopez. Overloaded left side, rolled out, threw it to his right, had some daylight, and Brewster just a little too anxious.
4th and 4, punt team on. We've seen some good punting off the foot of Tang. This one a little lower, a little shorter, and taken at the 27. Dugan again cutting to his right. He seems to like to go that way, and he is into Mount Pleasant territory. 58 seconds remaining. Mount Pleasant with 1 timeout, Westmont with 2, and Westmont's looking end zone, thinking end zone once again.
Yeah, question here, Will. How will the coach, Coach Byrne, do this with 58 seconds? We've seen some nice long passes tonight. That Flint to Rodriguez combination has burned the Cardinals, but it looks like something's coming back, Kirsten.
That's right. So negate the good run as it's a legal block on the back against Westmont. So that's a whole different kettle of fish, I believe the expression is, although I've never used it for Westmont. Now tack on quite a bit more yardage to go here within less than a minute left in the first half.
That'll call for a different set of plays.
Well, we've seen some big runs broken off by both the backs tonight. Rodriguez can hustle as well. Flint rolling out to his left. Here comes trouble, gets the ball away and underthrows his intended receiver. That was Phillips.
Yeah, that time he threw the double coverage. Phillips kind of running sort of a crossing pattern And but he, of course, was under pursuit on that play action himself. Had to get rid of that. He was looking for Phillips or what I believe was Dugan that time. I like the call, though. 1st and 10 with this timeout left in the half.
Only 6 seconds came off on that play. 2nd and 10. Handoff to Darabertis. Darabertis, 1st down yardage and more, and pushed out of bounds in front of his own sideline.
44 seconds remaining.
Darabertis and Lee, you know, they're kind of on the smaller size of a backfield we'll see all season. But they, as you mentioned earlier, elusive is a great word, great adjective to describe both of them.
Yeah, it takes, you really have to have some great lateral speed on defense. Your linebackers and defensive backs have to get involved more. Sometimes they get past that first line on defense. Takes quickness to stop them.
Fresh set of downs for Westmont. Play action. Flint on the run, hits his receiver in stride. It's dragged down by Vasquez, and making the catch is Zach Primo, the 6'6", 180-pound junior. You get 6'6"? Westmont's got some tall players, and once again, a big play is brought back, a big gain is brought back due to penalty. 35 seconds remaining here in the half.
Interesting to see what the call is here. That was slower to develop, but I think the way the amount of yards the ref is going, I would think holding on the offensive line, Kirsten.
They're almost back on Ocala. And it is. So the Mount Pleasant fans who've had little to cheer about tonight, cheering for that big penalty. It is 1st and what, the 680?
Well, I think forever would be a term we might
1st in
use
the parking
this
lot.
case.
We'll make it 1st and 30 to be official, as Westmont calls a timeout. I believe so. 29 seconds remaining. Both teams now with 1 timeout left. Westmont 21, Mount Pleasant 0.
So PlayOnSports.com is not your only destination for Friday night football action, but it's also the place for the most comprehensive coverage of high school playoff and championship events in all sports from across the country. PlayOnSports.com. High school sports lives here.
Less than 30 to go in the half. 1st down, but 1st and 30. Interesting that Coach Buren told us before the game that he felt like no team had beaten his team all season. Westmont had beaten itself. And I would respectfully disagree, since I witnessed Willow Glen's victory over Westmont. However, when you see all these big plays being called back, you kind of get the sense of what Coach Buren has probably been frustrated with this season, as 3 receivers line up left for Flint. Westmont out of the timeout. And the screen pass, halfback option, and sending it up in the air. That is an interceptable ball. Way too much air is on that ball, as the Westmont player is down.
That's Mike Mitchell Sancier.
Yeah, I was going to say Sancier. We haven't really called his name much tonight.
Made the throw, and it was unfortunately a fluttering, a dying quail, as they would say, but that's what happens often when a non-quarterback makes a pass on an option. He's slow to get up, but he is up, fortunately.
20 seconds, 1 timeout remain for Mount Pleasant. Ball has been turned over here tonight, and the Cardinals with a pick. Again, Coach Lopez, I'm sure, looking for positives head to head into the break, and that one, on that play, they sure got one.
Yep.
Ball spotted at the Mount Pleasant 36. Again, both teams with one timeout remaining, 20.5 seconds left in the half. Out of the shotgun, Veronica, and Veronica gets the ball away. Messina with his first catch and heads out of bounds, as well he should, but just a 5-yard gain on the play. .15 seconds remaining.
Yeah, they're going to try to just chip this up the field with some sideline patterns. I would say with 15 seconds, you probably have a short 3 plays.
Here comes the pressure. As Veronica goes down he doesn't even seem to look where he was throwing on the play, anxious to get away as the pressure was coming. Messina was the closest in that vicinity. 3rd and 5.
Yeah, it looked like Messina sort of knocked off his route to the sideline there, Kirsten, not really able to get upfield to make the play. Veronica's probably fortunate he didn't get an interception for himself that time with the safety coming over to make the stop.
3rd down. 9 seconds remaining. And Veronica on the keeper. Veronica still on his feet. Dragged down, and the whistle blows with 0.8 of a second remaining. It'll bring up 4th down.
Yeah, I'm not sure that wasn't a broken play, as it looked like there was a little bit of hesitation.
On the handoff to Morphin?
Yes, and Morphin perhaps thought maybe it wasn't coming.
Westmont players looking frustrated at this point. I'm not sure if a flag has been thrown, but there's certainly a conversation.
Yeah, Michael Nadeau didn't like the call. He was running up on the play. And it could be, sometimes you don't see those face mask penalties under the pile, but
They're saying Westmont ball.
apparently a fumble.
Oh, now we've got
No.
another signal. So Westmont, I think I'll wait before I say
Well,
something else.
he did his scarecrow impersonation from the Wizard of Oz there.
Are they
Kirsten.
saying the half is over?
Well,
No, personal foul against Westmont.
right.
Westmont ball. So it looks like there must have been a fumble. Westmont recovered, but then
Yeah.
was guilty of a personal foul. So Westmont now coming back out on the field. 8 seconds to work magic. End zone or take a knee?
Well, I think be interesting here. I would wager a knee.
As we have the safety plug back there.
That's correct. Yeah, Veronica sort of was carrying that ball, kind of like a breadbasket, and you could easily see how that could have gotten knocked loose, as he was not totally prepared to carry it himself as the half ends.
Westmont dominates 21-0 in 1 half of play. Can Mount Pleasant rally here at home and defend their turf? Find out when we return. We'll step away, but the PlayOnSports.com halftime show when we return to Thomas P. Ryan Field in San Jose.
I have Darabertis with.
Back for the PlayOnSports.com halftime show. Mount Pleasant High School, the site of a Blossom Valley Athletic League Santa Teresa Division game. It's halftime. Westmont Warriors out of Campbell with a 21-0 lead over the host team, the Mount Pleasant Cardinals of San Jose. Alongside Fred Landis, I'm Kirsten Fairchalls. Fred, 2 touchdown runs for Darabertis of Westmont, and then they also got it done in the air with a 15-yard score. Flint to Rodriguez. Do you like the balance that Westmont has shown tonight?
Yes, I do. I think Coach Byrne has done what he has outlined and planned to do. He strives for balance each time. I actually think they personally could have run the ball a little bit more than they have. They could have avoided that interception turnover in the end zone, and it might be 28-0 for them right now. But however, that is what it is. I do like the 1-2 punch they've got in that backfield with Tommy Lee and Darabertis, and when things get clogged up, Rodriguez on the outside has shown to be formidable against this Mount Pleasant defense.
Mount Pleasant, not too many positives. We saw a good opening drive. However, they did have to punt it away, but they do have 2 interceptions in this ballgame.
Yeah, they've certainly helped themselves in that instance, and I think in the second half, getting the ball into their playmakers, some of their skilled players like Reeves, as they began to do at the end of the second half, what we saw a few of them get a little anxious, seeing some daylight. If Coach can settle them down here at halftime, get it into their skilled players, but run that dive pattern, which they were doing very good with Morphin in the first half, just to keep the defense honest. You could see some ball movement and some scoring here in the second half out of the Mount Pleasant Cardinals.
You mentioned Dan Torrey Reeves, the 6'2", 275-pound senior, has not played football since he was a freshman. He devoted the majority of his high school career to playing basketball. He's considered a top prospect in basketball, but had always said when he was a senior he was going to play football. You'd like to see him and Josh Messina, as you mentioned, get a little more involved in this offense.
Yeah, well, that's the difference. When they're so run heavy, the playbook is not that deep with a lot of pass plays to players like Reeves. And they don't get a lot of repetitions with that out of their wing T. It's primarily run heavy, and that's where they get the repetitions. So it's going to have to take some repetitions this half to build their stride, I think, to make some progress down the field.
This is the first time I mentioned the kicker for Mount Pleasant tonight, Alejandro Macias. They actually think very well of him. He's not had many opportunities or 0 opportunities tonight to show anything he can do. As we're kick it off here, left to right, Mount Pleasant. The up man takes it and downs it at the 22 after it gets past him. I'm sure he'll hear about that from the return man. But Westmont will go to work with a 21-0 lead. And it'll be 1st and 10 at the 22 for Westmont. Cool evening here in San Jose, California. Thank you for joining us on Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports. Trevor Flint, the quarterback, the junior. A lot of adjustments for him this season. Lost a starting running back. As Flint drops back on the first play from scrimmage. His receiver comes back and secures the ball. 1st down yardage and more, and yardage after the catch being accrued as Westmont now in Mount Pleasant territory.
Yeah, Kenu Phillips, nice running after catch, came back for the ball, got past the defender, and got another 10 yards after catch. We may see a little bit more this half with players like Phillips, as maybe Mount Pleasant tries to focus on that run game.
32-yard play
As the ball comes loose, and it looks like Mount Pleasant may have recovered. And they're going to say no, it stays with Westmont.
Yeah, I think they dodged one that time. Matt Salensang caught the ball as he tried to lunge upfield, put the ball out, and lost control of it.
Salingsang, who was a starting running back at the start of the season for Westmont, seeing limited action in this one. As Lee's screen pass, nothing doing. Messina's there to make the tackle.
So I think the Mount Pleasant defense is going to have to focus more on Lee and Darabertis this half. That could open up more of that passing game that Coach Byrne likes to run with for that offensive balance.
3rd and 3 for Westmont. Ball spotted at the Mount Pleasant 39. And the handoff to Darabertis. Darabertis straight ahead running, dragging defenders. First down, Warriors.
Well, that time he really sprung it up the middle and ran over Jose Luis Garcia, who tried to make the textbook tackle, but you could see a scat back with some power can do some damage to a defensive backfield.
1st and 10 at the Cardinal 29. Flint looking to his right. Receiver caught. Looks like Dugan with the catch.
I think that was Phillips, rather.
Excuse me, Phillips.
I think that was the same pass as they started the half with, Kirsten. Had such good success with it. This time appears like Phillips lining up out on the left side.
2nd and 3. And the handoff to Lee. Lee bouncing off the line, cutting around the left side. Brought down near the 16, and that will be a first down.
That time he ran around his left side. He's got big number 62. Trevor Patton, 6'5", 290, leading the way. Not only does he get a few players out of the way, but you certainly can't see Tommy Lee around big number 62 either, Kirsten.
1st and 10 from the 16. Lee trying to turn the corner on the right side. He does. Heading towards the end zone. Penalty markers thrown before he enters the end zone.
Well, that time Darabertis really put a nice seal block on the outside, fullback style. Gave Lee the room to run on the outside and gain some speed as he got around the rest of the defenders. We'll see what the penalty is, though.
Legal block in the back against Westmont. Now this was called before he entered the end zone.
It's 10 yards from the spot of the penalty. I saw Lee kind of put his head in his hands at times and said, oh, after that run, you did that to me.
Yeah, would have been his first touchdown of the evening. So it had been 1st and 10 from the 16. Ball spotted now on the 12. 1st and 6. Flint rolling out to his left, has the receiver open in the end zone. Touchdown, Zach Primo.
Yeah, we saw him try to hit Primo before. That time rolling to his left, kind of throwing to his right. It was a wobbly throw. Primo was there right at the spot where it was difficult for a defender really to do anything about it. Between the out of bounds line and his body is where he caught the ball, and nice play action rollout pass from Flint to Primo.
Phillips chance to make it 4 for 4 on the night.
He's had practice. 28-0. Westmont, 9:25 left to go in the third.
Westmont 28. Mount Pleasant.
So stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com post-game show, where we're going to select our player of the game, as well as wrap up all the action for this ball game. That's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
Mount Pleasant trying to keep its collective heads up. It's Westmont, the 28-0 lead. Mount Pleasant with its first opportunity here in the second half.
Earlier, I heard the coaches for Mount Pleasant bemoaning the turnovers. I think their strategy in this half is let's just hold on to the ball and we can make some progress on offense and get a score.
Taken at the 16, it's Messina. And Messina, another good return for Mount Pleasant. The Cardinals have not had an opportunity to make it pay off, however, their good field position.
And that time, little number 2, Ricky Arellano, stopped a Messina running full speed. He only goes 5'7", 155. Stopping a player like Messina running full speed at 180 can be quite a task, but it shows these. We've seen a lot of big action out of small players tonight.
That's right.
Kirsten.
It's not the size of the dog in the fight, the size of the fight in these Warriors and Cardinals, as the case may be. Across the middle, a risky play. Yes, you see it unsuccessful for Mount Pleasant. That was Warren Brewster coming across the middle, again throwing on first down.
Yeah, this is something they now have to do. At this point in the game, and certainly the defense will be protecting against the big play, wanting, if nothing else, certainly preserve their shutout. But Mount Pleasant could probably have some success with a series of short passes, as they've been trying to do, and maybe some bubble screens out to Reeves. We'll see what they try.
I think that was the first time they threw out a route going across the middle, 2nd and 10. And a pickup of 4 on the run as the pile untangles itself. And that was Morphin.
And the one thing that's been reliable for the Cardinals is that dive pattern, Kirsten.
Yes.
This evening.
It's been successful on both sides of the ball. Third and 6. Veronica, and caught by Messina. Messina with room to run and pushed out of bounds at the 39. That was excellent defense by Andre Simpson. Messina was thinking end zone.
Yeah, nice rollout, crossing pattern by Messina coming out of the backfield. Makes a nice grab. Those are the kind of short, under the coverage type passes I mentioned earlier that Mount Pleasant will have an opportunity to do here this half in order to get into scoring position.
1st and 10 at the Westmont 38. Messina trying to push the pile forward. Westmont's done a good job on him tonight.
Yeah, they've certainly stopped the lateral side-to-side running game for the Cardinals. A lot of team speed here on defense, a lot of these defenders also on the offense. And really that dive pattern has been the successful one. They're going to have to get the ball into players like Reeves when they see him in man coverage.
And whistles blow. That was a 1-yard gain on the play by Messina. As Mount Pleasant calls a timeout, 7:50 left to go in the third. Mount Pleasant was 2nd and 9, trailing 28-0 at home.
Do you want to watch more of your school's great matchups like the game you are enjoying here tonight? Well, tell your school to sign up for the PlayOn Sports School Broadcast Program. The program allows schools to broadcast all their games and other activities on the web. For more information, go to playonsports.com/SBP.
Challenging year for Mount Pleasant. "23 players lost to injuries, both on and off the field. Not the season they were anticipating for seniors like Josh Messina and Dantori Reeves. Trying to take as many positives as possible away from this season, and getting on the scoreboard in this ball game certainly would go far with this homecoming crowd. Deep pass to Messina, who got turned around, and he was lucky, so did his defender, Simpson, as the ball falls incomplete and brings up third and long.
Yeah, Messina just got in receiver position, just did what was a go pattern, and had he not turned around, he certainly easily could have caught that one in stride. So we certainly see some passing talent here for the Cardinals. They're not, however, used to going downfield so often, but I do like the call.
Here comes pressure, and he gets it away to Messina, who runs into his teammate. Messina doing a good job turning that into positive yardage. It looked like he might have gotten turned around by his teammate Morfin.
Yeah, he did seem to get turned around a bit, slowed him up before big Sebastian Arenalo, 5'9", 220, grabbed a hold of him. And that looked like it had great opportunity there. The screen was set up beautifully. Just the blocking scheme downfield was a little confusing.
4th and 6 for Mount Pleasant. I would anticipate they go for it here. The ball spotted at the 35 of Westmont. Veronica, pressure coming. Didn't have the time he needed to get away that pass as Westmont blitzes, and Mount Pleasant, for the first time tonight, a team turns it over on downs.
Yeah, he tried to hit Messina there once again. Fortunately, kind of threw it at his feet as he was under heavy pursuit. It looked like Garrett Runyon was running him down. And a player like Runyon at 6'4", 230 is not one you want to be run down by.
Yes, looks like Simpson also on the corner blitz. We haven't mentioned Jacob Good too often tonight. He's a sophomore for Westmont. Came into this game with 5 sacks as Westmont back on offense and quickly turns to the air. And Phillips shaking defenders loose and to burst up the sideline, finally pushed out of bounds. So credit Phillips for turning a little bit of something into a whole lot of something.
He sure did, and there was another good athletic move by 20, Messina, that time in at defensive back safety to push him out of bounds and keep him from scoring 6 on that one play.
First and 10 for Westmont.
Westmont with a lot of success passing on sideline patterns here tonight.
Especially to the right side there, Fred.
Yeah, they've thrown 3 just tonight to Phillips. Really seeing some weakness in that end of that cornerback.
And before Phillips, it was Rodriguez in that area as Flint goes right back to it and overthrows the intended receiver.
I haven't seen not sure that I've seen Rodriguez here on the field recently. Don't know whether that is an injury. It looks like I see him coming on here right now, just rotating.
As Darabertis heads off, on comes Rodriguez. 6:34 left to go in the third quarter. 2nd and 10 for Westmont, playing with a 28 lead. 28-0 lead, 1 in the backfield.
And it's Lee. Lee following his blocker. And an 8-yard gain for Lee. He's been churning up the yardage tonight,
Yeah, he
racking it
sure
up.
has. Again, big number 62, this time pulled all the way from his left side, Kirsten, over to the right to lead that play. Trevor Patton, but didn't quite get out of the way just enough for Lee. Could have really cut inside there. Might have taken it further if not for that, but I think Coach Barron will take 8 anytime.
3rd and 3. Lee once again, this time short of a first down. Mount Pleasant's Warren Brewster, the defensive end, in on the tackle. Fourth and short for Westmont, up by 28.
I'd say it's a safe statement. Coach Byrne doesn't go to the air, but he just might in this formation.
Play action. Flint rolling out to his left. Gets it off to his receiver. It's Phillip. Phillip shaking everyone loose. Wants to get in the end zone. He does. The determined Keanu Phillips, touchdown Westmont.
Yeah, that time Phillips just went around defenders. Talk about elusiveness. He has certainly shown that again. Another mighty might for the Westmont Warriors. The fight in the dog, as you've said earlier, is permeating as now Phillips sets up for the extra point.
22-yard scoring play. Great yak for Phillips, yards after catch. And he's on for the PAT. Barely clears, but it does. 5:03 left to go in the third quarter. It's a 35-0 ball game. All Westmont here in San Jose.
Well, when things go right, they go right. When you've had the night that Phillips has had, Kirsten, catching the ball for extra yards. Play on Sports is on Facebook and Twitter, giving you news and information and links to great highlights. Follow us at Play on Sports on both Facebook and Twitter. You can also access thousands of live and on-demand games on YouTube at youtube.com/PlayOnNetwork. Keep up with all the high school action every week from your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
The Warriors of Westmont, what a night here in San Jose. Westmont, nearby Campbell. Made the drive, up 35-0. As they keep it on the ground, but Reeves will scoop it up at the 14. Reeves trying to get outside and elusive. You just get the sense if he could have the wedge set up in front of him, Fred, he'd be off to the races.
Yeah, you certainly do. He's got great athleticism, as you mentioned earlier. And the Cardinal needs to get him in some open field running room, and he just hasn't had much of that all night. When the ball has gotten near, they've had some mistakes occur with a fumble earlier in the first half. Don't be too surprised here that Coach Lopez doesn't dial up special for him to get the ball.
1st and 10 for Mount Pleasant from its own 27, and the inside handoff. Morphin for 2 yards.
Now we see Westmont platooning a lot, rotating a lot on defense here tonight, keeping a lot of fresh players up front for that ground game, which is really what wears out a defense. But if you're able to rotate like Westmont has done,
Veronica comes back. Both number 7s out there tonight. And Mount Pleasant, Brewster with the reception. There's been a lot of passes thrown tonight, not too many completed.
No, they haven't, and certainly for the Mount Pleasant Cardinals, that that short pass here to the near side with Brewster is something they're starting to have some success on this half, but they've got to have a lot more of those and get a few of those downfield to bring that defense up to the line of scrimmage.
As the crowd takes up the chant, Morphin, as he did in the first quarter, able to convert on third down for the fresh set of downs, and he gets up a little bit of dancing, a little pep in his step.
Yes, you know, you see the fight. He is not playing off the scoreboard. He just is determined to get the ball into the end zone.
1st and 10 for the Cardinals from their 42. Messina, you know, Westmont has done a great job with pursuit to the outside tonight.
Yeah, their lateral pursuit has really been excellent. That time, big number 70 in on the play, Sebastian Arenello at 5'9" and 220, showing some great pursuit for a spark plug built type player. Kind of a person that doesn't typically have a lot of speed, but difficult to run over, run past. That is for sure, but Arenello getting it done on that play.
Morphin slow to get up. Vasquez replaces him in the lineup as Morphin walking a little bit more briskly off to the sideline. Clock continues to run here, 2:44 and counting. Mount Pleasant trailing 35-0.
So I think if you're Mount Pleasant, Kirsten, you're really trying to get, at this point, get some small success on the field for your underclassmen so they can finish this season strong with some big plays. Get some momentum going into next weekend's game.
Veronica going down the sideline. Jump ball and caught by Reeves. That's the big play they were looking for. Reeves with great vertical and good height, outmatching the secondary of Westmont.
You're absolutely right. That's a situation where you can, with getting a tall jump ball type play to Reeves among that small secondary, little bit more air under the ball and under stride, he could have had 6. But the Cardinal will take a deep play anytime at this point in the ball game. Nice pickup.
1st and 10 from the Westmont 31. Elio slips a little, regains his footing, but still gets tackled for a loss.
That left side has been hard to run around tonight, as it looks like Andre Simpson, who's had a big night, makes the tackle, Kirsten.
Yes, we've called his name often tonight. Westmont defense not on the field all that much tonight, and they're the reason why. They can look at themselves for why they've earned themselves rest for their players who aren't playing both ways tonight. Done a very good job containing this Mount Pleasant offense. 2nd and 11. Messina, who had a hard time getting loose, and then Hot Potato. I think they're going to say he never had possession.
Yeah, Messina took the fake handoff and just simply did a small out pattern, got past the line of scrimmage, and Veronica bound and determined to get him the ball. You know, this is a spot in the field all night where Mount Pleasant has gotten to this point, close to that red zone, and turned it over or had a penalty, Kirsten.
Well, and I think from the inexperience and youth of Veronica, you can see whatever play is called, he's going to stick with. That there's no chance for a second option if someone is covered. 3rd and 11. Veronica trying to avoid the sack, can't get out of trouble. The 2nd sack of the night for Westmont. And it looks like Good might have had a hand in that. And again, he comes into this game with 5 sacks.
Yeah, Good has been their sack master. That time he tried to roll out and hit Reeves, similar to the last play that they had the long completion on, but Defense shot the gap that time on the blitz, and there were simply too many defenders, hence the sack, and it'll be 4th down. Looks like a end of the quarter.
4th and 15 when Mount Pleasant returns to the field. 3 quarters are in the book. Mount Pleasant trailing 35-0 to Westmont in Santa Teresa Athletic League play.
PlayOnSports.com is not only your destination for Friday night football action, but it's also the place for the most comprehensive coverage of high school football playoff and championship events in all sports from across the country. PlayOnSports.com. High school sports lives here. And stay tuned for the PlayOnSports.com postgame show, where Kirsten and I will select our player of the game, as well as wrap up all the action from this game. That's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, PlayOnSports.com.
4th quarter about to get underway, and it'll be 4th and long for Mount Pleasant. Ball spotted at the 36-yard line. Mount Pleasant to go for it. Osmer Veronica, sophomore quarterback, 2nd start. Only 2 years of contact football. Going downtown, and Reeves looked like he might have had a chance to bring that in, but obviously plenty of defenders in the area as Westmont once again will have Mount Pleasant turn it over on downs.
So, yeah, the Westmont defense knew, I think, what was coming here on 4th down and long. They were successful with that play to Reeves here a few plays ago. Unfortunately, thrown into traffic. Reeves just not quite able to come up with the ball.
Cheers going up here, the announcement of the homecoming floats, the seniors winning for best float. Nice halftime homecoming activities here as Westmont goes back to work, and the quick outlet pass to Primo for a gain of 6. Second down.
And Tori Reeves in on the tackle there, coming off the field, limping a bit, Kirsten.
Tough night for these players going both ways, both sides of the ball. Maybe the chilliest evening we've had here in the Bay Area for a Friday night football game all season. But we, of course, have nothing to complain about when it comes to weather, do we?
No, we don't. Right about now, our Play On Sports colleagues in the Midwest are snickering at our comments about the weather, Kirsten, saying you don't know what a cold night of football is.
Well, while we say we actually do. It would obviously be a balmy night.
Yes.
Elsewhere. As the screen pass successful for a gain that sends Westmont back into Mount Pleasant territory. The Warriors have been claiming the Cardinals territory all night long. 1st down, Westmont.
Yeah, that time Kyle Birch took the bubble screen and just ran with it, got past the defender, took him along with him into Cardinal territory.
1st and 10 at the Mount Pleasant 46. And the handoff, the run, penalty marker thrown as Lee dashes to the end zone, but that's going to be a holding call, I am fairly certain.
Yeah, I didn't see the Zebras put their hands up to Hallelujah Land. That was called way before.
It's the 2nd time for Lee tonight, a block in the back rather than holding. 2nd time Lee has had a big touchdown run called back.
Yeah. Unfortunate for the young man that's been the stalwart of the running game tonight, between certainly himself and Darabertis. Interestingly enough, after that long run, half the field, Lee stays in the game.
Catches his breath.
Yeah, quite frequently a coach will just take a player out for that game to give him a breather, but I guess with a timeout on the field, with the penalty, why he's getting that breath. Coach doesn't need to relieve him.
And the Westmont coaching staff out on the field, perhaps asking for an explanation.
Well, now I think we understand why Coach Byrne would allude to the fact that he doesn't feel his team has been beaten this year. They've beaten themselves. And if some of these penalties are any indication of that, why we can understand his regrets for their occurrences.
1st and 18 for Westmont after the penalty. 8:45 left to go. Up a one-sided 35-0 lead as Lee drawing second breath, and you can see the dogged determination of Lee as he puts his team in a second and manageable.
Yeah, that time he took it to the outside, spun off a defender, ran right into Gabriel Heupel, who is all of 165, but not to be denied. Gets him into kind of a 2nd and 4 situation.
Morphin limps off for Mount Pleasant. He's been knocked about tonight for sure. 2nd and 4. Less than 8 to go for Westmont. And the handoff to Lee. And Lee getting all sorts of work here in the 4th quarter, earning a squad another first down.
So we see Mount Pleasant stacking the line. They had 8 or 9 in the box that time. But the fake on the bubble scheme sort of froze that defense. They were not in position really to respond to Lee coming right up the middle.
Lee seems determined to get in the end zone and make it count. 1st and 10 from the 34. Lee, another carry. Spin move. Tumbles forward. Seems to have plenty of energy left here in the 4th.
A lot of gas left in his tank as Alexander Boyd he hit Lee at first and he spun off him, but managed to hold on and stayed with him the whole time as he got it down to 2nd and short, Kirsten.
2nd and inches indeed. As Westmont spreads the field with this formation, but it's Lee. Lee still on his feet and just running ragged, zigging and a zagging on this tired Mount Pleasant defense.
Little poetry in motion, not only on the field, but in the description there, Kirsten.
Well, thank you, Fred.
I think Coach Barrett is maybe wanting to give Lee that breakaway run, give him that touchdown that he's gotten called back a few times here tonight.
First and 10 from the 13. And it's Lee once again. And penalty marker comes in. Mount Pleasant doing a much better job on that play, but penalty marker.
Yeah, I think that time it may have been as he sort of got gang tackled. We'll see. It appears like the call is going to go against the Cardinals as they appear to be backing up on the field.
That's a face mask penalty against Mount Pleasant. Mount Pleasant had seemed to clean up its penalties for a span of a couple of quarters. And Westmont will have 1st and goal.
So who's your call here to get the ball on this carry,
Well,
Kirsten?
interestingly enough, Lee now has company in the backfield in the I formation. 1st and goal from the 9. And Lee evades one tackler. Mount Pleasant with different ideas here. I believe taking a firm stand that Lee has run on them enough tonight.
Lee spinning out of the grasp of Warren Brewster that time, who got to him in the backfield, but slowed him up just enough for the cavalry to come on and make the tackle.
4:30 left to go in the ball game. It's 2nd and 7. Excuse me, 2nd and goal from the 7. As Lee again with company in the backfield. And the pitch to Lee. Cutting back the left side. Lee will not be denied, but he will be shy. You know, it's something to be said for the forward momentum he possesses. They're actually going to give a fresh set of downs. It looks like they did not need to get in the end zone. So it is 1st down at the 1. 1st and goal at the 1 for Westmont.
Yeah, it looked like the 1st down marker was about at the 3, Kirsten, and he just got past it. Dove his way to the end zone, didn't quite make it. And this has to be an exhausted Mount Pleasant defense.
Absolutely. And if you're a Lee fan, you only feel it's right if he gets the honors. He does. Touchdown, Westmont.
Yeah, that time he ran over that right side of that line, that 1-yard TD. Easy push by the offensive line, who's had some success that time. Big number 74 and 76 along that right side of the line. Having their way with that defense, Jared Lynch and Chad Cornell for the Westmont Warriors. Lynch going 6 foot and 295 pounds. You've got players like himself up front and Trevor Patton on the other side. You're going to have a good running game.
Phillips' 6th attempt of the night. 6 for 6, 42-0. Westmont leads in Santa Teresa Division play. Next week, the final week of the regular season. Again, this is the B League in Blossom Valley Athletic League. And these two teams near the bottom, but Westmont trying to improve to 500 in league play.
So stay tuned for the PlayOn Sports postgame show. Kirsten and I will pick the player of the game, and I'm sure she has an idea who that might be. I certainly do. And we'll wrap up all the action of the ball game tonight as well. So that's coming up following the game on your destination for high school sports, playonsports.com.
3:21 left to go in the ball game. Thank you so much for joining us on Friday Night Football on PlayOnSports.com. Kirsten Fairchilds, Fred Landis. Cameraman tonight, David Custon. Brad Youngquist is our producer extraordinaire. And a big thanks to the folks here at Mount Pleasant. And you gotta love the band as the squib kick. And just lack of communication there, Elio. As Hipple downs the ball. I'm not so sure how often Mount Pleasant has practiced that, but I think the return men are probably expressing their opinions on this subject to some of their up men who have actually turned their backs and chased after the ball tonight.
No question about that. You know, the Westmont Warriors trying to avoid getting into one of their playmakers and avoiding the big play on special teams.
Yes. 2:45 left to go. 1st and 10 for Mount Pleasant.
So here's the opportunity in the game, really, Kirsten, where Coach Byrne has put in some of his backups on defense, resting his players, where I would expect Osmar Veronica to maybe try some passes
Test some
upfield.
secondary, the
Absolutely.
reserves.
You know, he certainly tried that earlier with some nice plays out to Reeves earlier.
Mount Pleasant with some different players on. Josh Messina running east to west and running into a teammate, but looks close to a first down. We'll see where the ball is spotted. Messina, you can just see what a gamer is. He's trying to find some space. He's trying to create space, and it, for the most part, at least on the run, has not gone his way too often tonight, although he certainly had a nice run and yardage after a reception earlier in the game as the clock continues to tick. We're 90 seconds remaining in this ball game. 1st and 10 for Mount Pleasant at the 41. Veronica. And not sure if that was a designed run play for Veronica.
I think he was looking downfield for Elo that time. Kirsten just was not open, so he had to sort of take it himself, cut his losses, and get back to the line of scrimmage where it'll be 2nd down.
Less than a minute and counting. Mount Pleasant will move to 1-8 on the season, 0-6 in league. Westmont 4-5 overall, 3-3 in league. Westmont in a 3-way tie with Lee and Live Oak coming into tonight's game. Lee plays tomorrow at Silver Creek. Veronica, and through the hands of the intended receiver, Vasquez. And they're playing with a running clock here at Mount Pleasant, and perhaps the Cardinals will get one more play off.
We certainly saw a balanced attack here tonight for Westmont. We understand why Coach believes his team hasn't been really beaten, as he shows some great balance on offense, playing very physical the line of scrimmage.
Not sure Mount Pleasant's going to get this play off. They do as the clock sounds. Elio with a run would have been good for a first down, but that was the final play of the ball game. The Westmont Warriors 42, Mount Pleasant Cardinals nothing. We'll return with the PlayOnSports.com post-game show and hear from our player of the game. Don't you dare go away. We'll be back in a few minutes here at Mount Pleasant High School in San Jose, California.
We can get a player up here.
Oh, that's good stuff.
All right, perfect. Prepare a Wiley Ballard graphic.
Welcome back to the PlayOnSports.com postgame show. We're here with our PlayOnSports.com player of the game, Mark Darabertis, the junior fullback for Westmont. Westmont, a 42-0 winner over Mount Pleasant at Mount Pleasant. Mark, congratulations on the win. We were at Westmont's season opener at your place when you hosted Willow Glen, and we did not see you out on that field. You've really worked yourself into a starting role, haven't you, this season?
Actually, no. Our starting fullback, number 32, Matt Selingsang, had a season-ending injury. I just stepped up to the plate and
And delivered.
Yep.
Mark had the first two scores of this ball game to help give Westmont a 14-0 lead, and then you really seemed to have your way with Mount Pleasant tonight. The defense certainly played hard for the Cardinals, but between you and Lee, you really make a nice tandem out there. Can you talk about the chemistry that your offense has?
You know, we all get along great. The line in the beginning of the season they've definitely gotten a lot better. Shouts out to them. They did really good this game. Helped me and Tommy put up yards. I try to do my best for Tommy. I know I need to get better at blocking. I'll try to get better for him, and I just try to run hard. That's all.
We actually saw you come through with some good blocks tonight. How essential is it to be just there for your teammates? Like I said, you two really seem to have some nice chemistry.
It's nice to have a team, you know, you can rely on. I mean, those guys definitely have my back at school, on the field. You know, you can trust all of them. Even the defense, it's great to know that you have a defense that can play ball and get a 3-and-out and get you back on the field. So it's really great to know you can have a team like that.
Well, congratulations on being PlayOnSports.com player of the game. Mark Darabertis, the junior fullback for Westmont, a 42-0 winner at Mount Pleasant tonight. Don't you dare go away. Fred Landis and I will be back with more of our post-game show. You're watching PlayOnSports.com, your destination for high school sports. Welcome back to Mount Pleasant High School for our PlayOnSports.com post-game show. Alongside Fred Landis, I'm Kirsten Fairchills. Thank you for staying with us. We heard from our player of the game, Mark Darabertis, the fullback. Westmont put up 21 points in the first half, 21 points in the second half for a 42-0 win. It really was the Westmont Warriors' night tonight.
It sure was. Between Darabertis, Rodriguez, and and you can't, of course, forget Lee and his efforts running the ball. And what about that line? They've got a outstanding offensive line that protected their quarterback all evening, and that defense as well that shut out that ground attack from the Mount Pleasant Cardinals.
That's right. It really did seem to be a balanced effort on both sides of the ball for Westmont, for their head coach Eric Buren. A night to still build on. There certainly were mistakes, a number of penalties, a number of runs being called back, or Lee might have been our PlayOnSports.com player of the game. You never know how that works. But in talking about Lee and Darabertis, what a great tandem they are.
Yeah, they are. They're it's sort of a 1-2. They're both very emblematic. Look looking like a mirror of each other, but equally elusive, difficult to bring down. They make great decisions running the ball. And the good news is they're juniors. They're coming back, and this is going to be a one team to be reckoned with next year with this firepower coming back on offense.
Final thoughts about Mount Pleasant.
Yeah, Mount Pleasant, I think, really began to show that first drive that they've got the opportunities to move the ball more on offense. And if they can manage to get some plays to their big good hands people on the outside, they can get up the field and move the ball. But this certainly was not their night with this tough Westmont team, which is, I believe, better than their record shows.
Well, I'm sure Westmont fans glad to hear you say that. Again, another week of Friday night football, the final week of the regular season next week. On behalf of my partner Fred Landis, our cameraman David Custon, and our producer Brad Youngquist, I'm Kirsten Fairchild. So long from San Jose, Westmont of Campbell, a 42-0 winner over Mount Pleasant High. Good night, everyone.
One match away from immortality.
This is a total team effort.
We're gonna come at you.
One shot.